But then this was him waltzing around the Bills facility.
Oh, that's Joe Brady.
And I was like, Joe Brady in that video a couple weeks ago looks like a large body.
He's a unit.
Absolutely. In fact, that's the word that was floating around, because these are also a lot of them ex-athletes. You got Jim Harbaugh over there. Joe Brady stands out as like the class. I'm not saying bully, but he wasn't the biggest kid in 7th grade back in the day.
Well, welcome to Heed the Call, an NFL podcast. My name is Dan Hanzus, joined by my beautiful co-host Marc Sessler, Justin Graver on the ones and twos, a little three-man weave on the midweek show. The second day of owners' meetings in Phoenix. We heard from a lot of NFC coaches on the Monday program. Now we'll hear from a lot of AFC figures, but, you know, they'll be all over the place, and we're going to have fun doing it. Cessy, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing better than I normally was on the second or third day of the owners' meetings we typically attended. There was one owners' meeting. Yeah. There was one where, I know these guys show up looking in different states of disrepair, but I actually missed the first 15 minutes of one because of a late wake-up, and that wasn't my favorite day covering the league. But you bounce back because you're in Phoenix, and it's warm, and it's nice out, and you're sweaty and hot by about 11 a.m.
Yeah, I remember some of those Sessler owners meetings.
Well, it wasn't just Sessler, by the way. I know that would be a clever narrative, but there were...
I mean, yeah. It was Wes was a great operative with you, but yes. Sometimes just getting out of those meetings with everything being in one place on the program was a victory for around the NFL empire.
Sure.
And yet we persevere, and now here we are watching it from the other side of the glass, and we will get to everything that makes sense to hit, because some of it is kind of silly, some of it might feel, regurgitated, but let's just see where the angles are, Mark, where people are coming from. We're also at the end of the show. I have a little score to settle with you, the blind over-under game, where I have not seen it. I hope you're being honest, Mark, when you say you haven't seen it either. They put out the over-under win totals for the various teams. And we're going to enter into a competition guessing what those over-unders are.
Yeah, I guess I promise you that I have not, because it's not the first thing I would dive into. I even put a note into our group chat saying that we did a news story about one of those teams where the over-under was the central piece of the news story. I said, don't put this in the competition. Not fair, because I recall what the number was. That's the only one.
Good. So we're on the same page.
I feel like out of the gate, you are suspicious that I've cheated.
I was furious last year. We'll get into it, but I had victory snatched away from me, and I am not going to settle for anything less than total conquest in the blind over-under challenge at the end of the show. So we're going to hit all that. We're going to have a good time. Before we get into the news, let's check in with the coach's photo, which has obviously everyone except Sean McVay, too cool, and Todd Monken, too constipated.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. We'll get to that in a second. Here it is in front of a giant luxury resort hotel on a great lawn. Can't tell if that is field turf or actually beautifully manicured grass. Anything that anybody that jumps out to you from this photo, and check it out on YouTube and watch along. But here are 30 of the 32 NFL coaches.
I love to look at the new ones. We all get that Andy Reid is going to look like the Andy Reid of the past many years. But a couple weeks ago, I mentioned that in a Bills promo piece that, you only saw Joe Brady up in the booth, right? But then this was him waltzing around the Bills facility.
Oh, that's Joe Brady.
And I was like, Joe Brady in that video a couple weeks ago looks like a large body.
He's a unit.
Absolutely. In fact, that's the word that was floating around, because these are also a lot of them ex-athletes. You got Jim Harbaugh over there. Joe Brady stands out as like the class. I'm not saying bully, but he wasn't the biggest kid in 7th grade back in the day.
Yeah, you got Jim and John together. I just want to jump around a little bit. Let's start with KOC. He's right next to Todd Bowles. KOC looks like every little league dad that you know.
Yes, the shirt included.
The one that really jumps out to me, Mike Vrabel. He is now man-spreading to the point of potential legal implications. The body language and who's this? Yeah, who is this man next to him? Can you help me out with that?
That's Jeff Hafley.
That's Jeff Hafley. Poor Jeff Hafley. The guy just wants to fit in. He's a head coach now. And here's Vrabel leaning big thigh and big calf, leaning right into Hafley's zone. And my only thought to that is, like, it makes Hafley look like he's sitting in the cuck chair at the local Radisson. Even look at his hand placement near his crotchal region. The whole thing, It looks like a man that's dominant over another man. And I think Vrabel, wearing his leather penny loafers, no socks on top of it, just really ascertaining a level of dominance that feels unnecessary, quite frankly.
Vrabel also is the guy that's still working out hardcore and lifting weights and eating well and looks the part. I think it's a novice mistake by Hafley, unless they were like, you must sit here. And whoever made him sit here, if that's the case, unkind, because he should be down on the other side of Jesse Minter or among some of the slighter coaches to just look his best. This happened to me. Do you remember this? We had an NFL media summit where they bring all the people in and then they do the same type of group photo. And I took a seat in the front, thought this will be good. And then Mike Garafolo came and stood up on stage and put like a large leg right in front of essentially all of my body except for my head. And I felt like Jeff Hafley in that situation. You got to be careful with what you do here.
How about every photo ever taken with me, with you and Greg, where in every photo I look like I'm 6'8", 530 pounds, just towering over the both of you. No, I wouldn't. I guess it's all in the eye of the beholder. A couple more things. Robert Saleh, top right, looking like electric sex in his white Faherty hoodie. I think anybody would kill to fill out a hoodie like Bob Saleh. The two guys at the end and the bottom, no idea who they are. No clue. They look like two randos that you and your...
Ben Johnson in the...
This is Ben Johnson.
That is not Ben Johnson.
It is, and I think we found the Zodiac. The look on the face there is...
This is either... Clint Kubiak or Dave Canales, and whichever.
Canales is the good-looking guy on the left side.
That's Clint Kubiak next to Johnson.
So this is Dave Canales.
They look like the two randos you get paired with at the golf club, and then they spend the whole time just vaping, drinking, and talking about daily fantasy bets. Like, those guys are unbelievable. I can't believe that's Ben Johnson. Didn't he win Coach of the Year? No, they give it to Vrabel.
He looks in good shape. He looks shapely. I'd give him. He doesn't. He just looks a little overly serious and psychotic.
Yeah. Top right, you got Sirianni. He's a bigger guy than I realized. By the way, he looks like he could do a little bit of damage. And quite frankly, a guy that's been in more than his fair share of pub fights. Also, there was another photo, if you could bring it up, Justin, from earlier. I think it was during the coach's breakfast when it kind of looked like old Nick might have tied one on. The night before at the hotel pool. Again, check it out on YouTube. I empathize with this. No shots fired at Nick, but because I remember maybe not going as hard as a Sessler would at the owners' meetings, but I would occasionally wake up not feeling great, but still having to be somewhere in the morning. And that's where Nick seems like he's been at various points during this week in Phoenix.
I think Nick did the thing where if you're in a rush, we get it. You've woken up beyond the time you probably would have for a full preparation, that you do the old grab your shower towel and wet your hair under the sink and it's kind of a hobo shower. That sort of looks like you took a hobo shower here.
Check the Nike Polo to make sure you don't have a mustard stain on it, and then back it goes onto your torso. My only other thought on this, am I overreacting, Mark? And I'm not trying to get you going, but if you're the Browns, are you a little pissed at Monken about how this all played out? Like, it turns into this big story. And if you didn't see it, the latest update from Mary Kay Cabot, longtime Browns reporter, was that he wasn't in the can, as he alluded to. This is almost kind of worse, Cessy. He had scheduled a haircut for the express purpose of looking as best as he can in this photo that he missed. And so he had missed the timing up, or did not get the memo that maybe the photo is at a different time. I don't know what it was, but he was sitting in a barber chair getting his hair cut for the photo that he ended up not being a part of. And I don't know, that's a toughie.
It's I mean, anything like this that happens to the Browns is going to be amplified, but I don't trust, like, the friend. I've had this friend where, like, has to be somewhere in 3 hours and goes, and it's very important. Play that axe. But then you're going to get the haircut the same day before something in like 2 hours. Like, why is he getting a haircut, which I would assume to be at the Biltmore somewhere in that swanky, gigantic hotel? Like, why aren't you getting your hair and clothing situated back in Cleveland before you fly to Phoenix? And then look at this. He's had to unfurl a false narrative about being in a men's stall, that's an odd way to come with it. And then you double down with this.
I know, but in all seriousnness, I mean, Freddie Kitchens made the damn photo. I mean,
which is a miracle.
If you're the Browns, I just wonder if, like, there's a little bit of like a eyebrow arch. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not making too much of it. I'm just saying, like, we're one of those teams that we don't need to give anybody extra reasons to think we're a joke. And it's like, Todd, come on, bro, clean it up.
It was really his first assignment, and he did not pass.
All right, there you go. Any other thoughts on the photo before we move on?
I know some people will push back against this. I can't do two more pairs of brothers as NFL coaches. I'm good with where we're at. In fact, it feels already like the kind of thing that they're going to hammer home during games when they face each other.
Are you just filling in for Connor right now with a take that I know that you don't even believe?
I mean, when I was scanning this photo, it was like they put them together, the LaFleurs and the Harbaughs, and that's very nice and everything. But I don't want a third pair of siblings, unless it's Joe Brady's sibling. Let's see how that goes.
I mean, I don't know why I'm asking this, but why is this a feeling that you have?
About the Joe Brady part of the two brothers?
No, I know the Joe Brady part is because I don't know, you want him in the dungeon or something. But
I don't need three, because I feel like in a major sports league, if we have three sets of brothers coaching what would be like a fifth of the league at that point, we're not the network casting for talented coaches is too thin.
Okay,
that's two more brothers.
So we're right now. Right now, Sessa, you're okay with it, but it's right up against your limit.
It's on the fringe. It's
right
a fringe
there.
scenario. Yeah.
All right.
It's not cute.
Okay. Well, if it makes you feel better, one of the LaFleur brothers is coaching the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, he may not be there for very long.
Right. So maybe, you just never know. You just never know. All right. Let's bounce around and do some news. All right, this matters. NFL owners have approved 5 rule changes. Here we go. You ready?
Yes.
Are you ready, Justin? Rule change. There you go. All via the competition committee. We now, effective in 2026, will permit the kicking team to declare an onside kick at any time during the game. Prior to this, what was the prior rule, Justin? It was
fourth quarter only.
Fourth quarter only. I have no idea why that rule ever was in place in the first place. But now it is. You could declare it. You still. The real hope here is the return of the surprise onside kick, but that was deemed to be such a dangerous play in the NFL's gallery of high-impact violence that we can't have surprise onside kicks, but we can at least now use an onside kick at any point, which, yes, this one's an easy one. It's a layup, Mark, because it's strategy. It's straight, and then the league and the coaching has never been more aggressive with how they go about their business, whether it's going for it on
strategy.
fourth down, whether it's when you bring out your kicker. Like, give these coaches, if they're going to hang themselves, let them hang themselves. If they're going to act in a bold manner that helps spur major comebacks, let's hear that too. Let's see that too. Just let him cook.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we all remember it when Sean Payton ran ambush to open the second half of the Super Bowl against the Colts. I mean, you're stealing a huge possession. To me, the idea that it's a shock and awe scenario is completely neutered by the fact you have to declare it. Like, I just think the whole point is, I don't remember a ton of people getting hurt on onside kicks. Maybe you guys have a catalog of that, but like, it was one of the more like nestled in surprise plays to stun an opposing special teams coordinator and probably get them fired in an important playoff game.
I mean, we talk about Sean Payton all the time. The most famous play in the history of Sean Payton's career, one of the most famous plays in the history of the New Orleans Saints and in Super Bowls in the last 20 years is the surprise onside kick that began the second half of that upset win over the Colts. And right now you can't do that.
Well, you could declare it, but it's like, oh, we get it.
All right, another rule that passed. When teams kick off from the 50, that happens typically after like a personal foul on the previous play. What we saw a lot last year was teams would just kick it out of bounds. That would give the receiving team possession at the 25-yard line, half the distance from the kick. Now, a deliberate out-of-bounds kick will be replaced. A kick from the 50 that lands in the end zone and isn't returned or goes out of the end zone results in the receiving team getting the ball on its own 20. So, forcing teams on special teams to kick off and make it a competitive play. They also will modify another rule, the kickoff alignment requirements for the receiving team players in the setup zone. So there'll be a tweak there. Also, they're going to allow league personnel to consult with on-field officials when considering disqualifications for both flagrant football acts and non-football acts without being called on the field. This is a great one.
Yes.
We're getting closer and closer to what has always been, I think, a glaring issue as the NFL has sought to better protect their players, which is obviously a good thing with, shots to the head and all manners of roughing. Oftentimes, referees and officials will throw flags just if something looks like it was too violent. And anything that allows, if I'm reading this right, these officials to get help from upstairs or from the league office to make sure on, potential game-changing disqualifications or those type of situations, make sure everyone's got their eyes on it and you're not trusting these officials who are calling a game that's getting faster and faster and faster with huge stakes for all involved.
I mean, I like rules that are enacted that should have been enacted about 3 or 4 years ago. So it's just catching up. I mean, it's the kind of thing where these guys deserve help in those situations. So more of it, please.
But, I'm looking at this as I look at it even to allow league personnel to consult with on-field officials when considering disqualifications. So if it's just disqualifications, it's actually still they haven't, like the one I'm looking for quite clearly, just to make it clear is, Nick Bosa goes around the right edge and he clubs Justin Herbert. It looks like he hits him in the head, but he really didn't. He just got him in the chest, and they throw the flag on 3rd and 14 and call roughing the passer. And on replay, it's clear that it wasn't an illegal hit or a late hit or a flagrant hit. So you can get help from upstairs. I don't think that's covered here. So I actually don't think we're here yet, unless I'm reading that wrong.
No, I think you're right. Like they didn't go far enough with it, and it feels like there's 2 of those plays every game. So
all right. And then we've talked about this for 1 year only, allow the NFL officiating department to correct clear and obvious misses by on-field officials that impact the game in the event that there is a work stoppage involving the game officials represented by the refs union. We already talked about that. That's that standoff, that labor standoff. I just want to add one addendum or note here that the biggest story in the first week of the Major League Baseball season is ABS, which is the automated balls and strikes system that after years of tinkering and testing in the minor leagues, they brought it to Major League Baseball starting with this season. And it has made it's represented a major shift in the at-bats and the game itself. I was watching a Yankee Mariners game last night, where by the fourth inning, the Yankees had challenged 5 different pitches that were called strikes that upon review were changed to balls. And you see the writing on the wall, the meteor heading at the home plate umpire. I think in 5 years, you won't have an umpire there calling any balls and strikes. And this is kind of that transition period for baseball. I just wonder as we continue, the technology allows these things to be expedited if we're heading there in all sports with officiating, just something to think about. Because I guess my point to tie it back to this is why only have this for these scab officials that you don't trust? Like, if it's something to help out the game in terms of getting the right call, why wouldn't this always be the way they do it? And maybe it is in the future.
I would ask you a baseball question, because I think baseball has done a better job than any sport at looking at themselves over the last, better than I, but 4 or 5 years, to speed up the game in certain ways, to make it more fan friendly. Like, they really have, and it's so much more watchable. If they're challenging 5 of these pitches, like, how long did it take?
They've really, because they did the right job in terms of the runway and built it up over years in the minors of tinkering. Let's say a pitch is at the knees, they call it a strike. The hitter, and also, by the way, on the other side, the catcher can do the same thing, or the pitcher. But the hitter says, no, that was low. He taps his helmet. That immediately sets off the challenge. The umpire turns around, makes an announcement to the crowd that they're challenging the call. And then almost immediately it fires up the video graphic that shows down to 1/10 of an inch whether the call was right or wrong. Think like the tennis, the way the tennis technology works now. And the whole thing typically takes, I would say, about 10 seconds. So it's kind of a no-brainer. The biggest stunner about all of it is like how bad this is for these umpires. Not only is it like, call their integrity into question and their ability to do their job, it also leads to just a real humbling. Like, after you challenge it, you take your mask off as an umpire. You have to signal to the press box, and that initiates a challenge, and you announce it. And then when it goes against you, which in many cases it has, like for instance, the Yankees in 5 games, I think, are 11 out of 12 overturning strike calls or ball calls. The crowd, like, especially if it's obviously in favor of the home team, goes into this whole roar, and the umpire just is totally, he's in the cuck chair like Jeff Hafley.
Reminds me of Leslie Nielsen in Naked Gun, where he takes over the ump role and he milks the crowd to an incredible effect. But
yes, that was in that situation. If there was ABS, Frank Drebin would be in a lot of trouble.
But instead, he was the victor on that day.
Yeah, he persevered. He was also Enrico Palazzo during that game. He sung the national anthem after assaulting the great Italian soprano. All right, let's take a break, and when we get back, we hit some news. All right, we are back. Let's do some news.
What happened to you for the first minute of the game?
I was taking a
Oh.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, Mike held it down for me. Yeah.
Now, football might be completely different than basketball, but again, nature called this time Anthony Edwards of the Timberwolves, who missed some time in a recent game due to, yes, he had to get to the bathroom or maybe get a haircut. I don't know. At this point, no one knows what's happening.
It's confused. I don't recall a job where I could have explained an absence to my employer with that exact line. It would not have had to come up with a different type of line there.
All right, let's start with the Eagles. Howie Roseman, he, as you would imagine, brushed off multiple questions around A.J. Brown, his star wide receiver. There's been speculation all throughout the offseason about A.J. Brown being on the move after a very unhappy season in Philadelphia. He had this to say: my answer to any question on A.J. Brown is that A.J. Brown is a member of the Eagles. From my perspective, anything you ask me about A.J. Brown, I'm going to go right back to that answer. Nick Sirianni kind of echoed that. Clearly, that was a conversation before they met with reporters. Let's shut down any of this. Now, whether that's to just keep the seas calm so they can pull this trade off, or if it's because they're trying to maybe see if they could salvage this because they know their team's better with A.J. Brown than without, we don't know. But I think it's also notable, Ceci, that other teams continue to have conversations around A.J. Brown. We know, of course, because we just talked about it on the last show, Sean McVay addressing the Devontae Adams conversations about a potential trade, and that was connected via reporting. I guess McVay and anybody else, you can't talk about another team's player, if I'm not mistaken, directly, but there are ways to have these conversations. So the Rams have been connected to A.J. Brown, and so too have been the Patriots. Perhaps most prominently, A.J. Brown would be a perfect number one wide receiver for Drake May. Here is Mike Vrabel asked about the star.
We've talked about this since last January. We're going to try to do everything we can to strengthen our roster through the draft, through free agency, multiple ways of player acquisition. So anything that we can continue to do to strengthen the roster, we're going to try to do.
I mean, it tells me, what's come out of this week along the lines, a lot next to a lot of nothing, but that the Eagles just haven't been offered what they consider value. And they're not in a rush to trade him because you have to make him a post June 1 designation. Otherwise, they take a massive cap hit. And even if they do, it's still a financial loss. So I guess I would wonder, like, why are you doing this unless he is such a problem? Because they're pounding the table so hard behind the scenes saying, and to reporters saying, nope, we love A.J. Brown. He's happy with us. We know there's been a couple little things here and there. We both them. To me, it just sounds like he will be moved this summer, and we're just waiting for the calendar to flip. I think they have real plans if he goes. They really believe that Devonta Smith can, like a Jackson Smith and Jigba when DK Metcalf left, become that true number one guy. They've got another offensive coordinator in Sean Mannion. I don't know what taking A.J. Brown does for the offense. You've also lost your offensive line coach. So it's just like, is this super necessary? Is the relationship cooked? Is that why this has to happen?
We shall see. I'm just looking at the Patriots depth chart post Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte, and Romeo Doubs with Mac Hollins, with little dash of Pop Douglas, little Eftim Chisholm, Connor's boy, Kyle Williams in the mix. I mean,
Don't sleep on Kyle Williams. He was my big draft crush from last year.
Third round pick in 2025. I think there is pressure probably on the Patriots to add to that room because while I agree, a major talking point around the Patriots last year is how ahead of schedule they were, which I guess, yes, because they got to the Super Bowl and nobody expected that. But this season, they will be expected to get to the Super Bowl. So by virtue of that new shift, they will be behind schedule if they don't. And what do they need to do? Clearly, they need to add pieces to the playmaking attack for Drake May. So I think it gets done. I think there's way too much smoke connected to the Patriots in the way everyone has talked and some of the sly kind of commenting from Vrabel along the way, and even A.J. Brown and some of the social media teasing. It almost feels like everyone knows where this is heading, but now here's the business of New England and Philadelphia trying to hammer this thing out. So both sides feel like they're ending in a good place, but we'll see. We shall see. All right. In other news, Jared Jones. You know we love Jared Jones. He was asked if they'll get a deal done with George Pickens before the July 15th deadline. Here is what Jared had to say.
I don't know. The franchise tag has an automatic time frame on it, and all of us will, and it's my plan and our thought that we'll all be working within the time frame of the conditions of the franchise tag. So it should play itself out. Is the best way for me to say it. Make no mistake about it, we have long-term plans in mind for Pickens.
The Cowboys used the franchise tag on Pickens, which will pay him nearly just over $27 million on a one-year deal in the absence of a long-term deal. You would imagine Pickens wants a lot more than that, maybe even money in the neighborhood of Jackson Smith and Jigba, who just got the bag with Seattle. There's been some speculation that he might stay away from the team. And until he signs that franchise tag, he's not under contract, so they can't do really anything about it. I would just say, like, if I'm a Cowboys fan, is there any way to, and I understand these situations are tricky, it was a master stroke to get Pickens in your building, and he immediately responded with, wide receiver one season. Is there any way to play this in a manner that doesn't lead to you paying over the market value of the player? It seems like they continually box themselves in by being too cute or misreading how to handle star player contracts until they're paying out their ass because they don't have any other options to do so. Is there a way to avoid that with Pickens, or are they heading toward that same road?
I guess it's the one area where Pickens has leverage. If he just doesn't show up, you get forced to pay him. But with Jackson Smith and Jigba, my thought was pay him as soon as possible, because you've got years of evidence that he is absolutely going to help dominate in your offense. Like with George Pickens, is it me, or I would love to see him do some of this again before I give that contract? I just don't know if I trust him as like he's going to be here for 4 years and be the same even-keeled guy the whole time, because that's not who he's been.
Okay, I see that. Whether you trust giving him the contract and maybe you just want to see more. I think he showed, and he even showed it in Pittsburgh, even though it was, it was pretty stop and go, and the quarterback situation there never helped. I'm thinking about like a year after you trade Micah Parsons and all the blowback for that, and then you have a truly dreadful defense to the point where your owner is at the, the Arlington Speedway, just pinning the entire season's failure on the defense's inability to get any stops, which wasn't incorrect, but it really pointed out the desperation of Dallas's need to balance its roster. Do you really want to be paying 2 wide receivers at the very top of the market, in addition to Dak's absurdly huge contract and some other big contracts on your offense? Or is there a thought to, is there a path here where we could find a complement to CeeDee Lamb, or hell, if you really love Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, some of that's expendable? I don't think so. I think CeeDee Lamb's the superior player, but I think Dallas is almost like in the Cincinnati boat on the NFC side, where you have this very top-heavy salary setup, all built towards these skill players and your quarterback on the offensive side. And is there enough balance, even in this era of a huge salary cap, over $300 million? Is it sustainable to give this guy that contract to be able to build a well-rounded roster? It's a decision they have to make and figure out.
It's a good question. And I think that Dallas is just simply different than, again, though, also like Cincinnati a little bit. Like their front office structure, you don't trust, like some, that they're going to be cunning and get the best possible trade or deal. I mean, they did with Micah Parsons, but why not use some of those draft picks and that draft capital to get another wide receiver that you have for the next 4 years, and you're not paying that way? I think it's a little bit of a luxury to have both. I think they'll do it anyways, but for a team that has proven that they cannot win playoff games to begin with.
There's not much meat on this bone, but I think we're all very interested to see the Jim Harbaugh, Mike McDaniel buddy comedy emanating out of El Segundo and SoFi Stadium this upcoming season. The new offensive coordinator has gotten off on a good foot with the veteran head coach. Here's what Harbaugh had to say about McDaniel.
Awesome with a capital A.
Is that Jordan in the background?
It is.
Really
there she is.
Would be,
shout out Jordan Rodriguez.
I'll just go myself.
How
it was Mike G, I think too.
How his mind is, just
Focus
how much
more.
Football information, how good it is.
Look at this dude in the shorts.
His
Get out of the shot.
At all positions.
Feels like a must-watch YouTube episode so far.
Jordan was vamping a little bit. I think she knew she was in frame there and refused to leave.
I believe there's I'm gonna show my connection with youth culture. I believe she might have been frame-mogging Jim Harbaugh there.
I think you are right.
Ding!
I'll make sure to let her know. All right, let's see.
She's gonna hate us.
Jimmy Haslem on Monday told a group of local reporters, who is Jimmy Haslem, Mark?
He is the owner of the proud Cleveland Browns.
He is your leader, Mark. He told a group of local reporters at the NFL's league meetings that Deshaun Watson, I mean, it's kind of hard to believe, but here we are. He's back now. When he tore the Achilles, and you knew, I say this as just a NFL football analyst observer, like you kind of put him out of mind. He's like, what a mess. Okay, let's not even think about that anymore. And now he's back.
Oh.
And now he's back. You know what it reminds me of? Last baseball parallel I'll do today, Mark, I promise. When A-Rod of the Yankees later in his career got suspended a second time for PEDs, and he got a unprecedented suspension. It was like a full season suspension, and he was kind of he was in his decline as a player anyway. And when it went down, it was like, okay, like what a headache this has turned into. Rear view mirror, we move forward post A-Rod era in the Bronx. And then the next spring training, he was back. And it's like, well, now what do we do with this guy? He's like still our highest paid player. He can't really play. Nobody really wants him here. And yet his contract dictates he has to be here. It is a bit of a tricky one. But anyway, Monken, who did show up for the media availability. So I guess
haircut looked good, by the way.
Stay positive. Yeah, we'll take a look at this in this very, very visual episode of He the Call. He spoke a little bit about where Watson stands with the team and in the QB room for the Cleveland Browns.
I will just say this. We're excited to have him. We're excited to see what he has. He's part of our roster. Anybody that's part of our roster, it's our job as coaches to try and get the most out of him. Why isn't that obvious? I don't have any idea. I don't understand it at all. The most important part is to put a winning product on the field. I don't care who that is, whether they're on a roster or they're not. That he just happens to be part of our roster. And I'm excited to have him along with the other players we have on our roster.
I kind of like his energy there. He should spend more time in front of the camera and not.
They like Monken because he is a player's coach. I thought he gave today honest answers about the quarterback situation in general, and that is a far afield departure from what Kevin Stefanski was doing. I will say this, though. What a lost opportunity for the Browns. What a lost opportunity to create a completely different type of energy. I mean, I have a lot of Browns fans in my feed. I think that there is a different world than when they signed Deshaun Watson, and a certain type of Browns fan was like, yes, I don't care what he did. We're Browns fans, and if you're not loyal. A lot of people now are like, if they go and win with him, the result is apathy. I think you had this front office. I just think they see themselves as measured and ahead of the crowd. They have won 8 games in 2 seasons. This feels like a face-saving lever pull if he plays well, because Andrew Beery, and I say this, had the gall to suggest that they would extend Deshaun Watson after this season. And I think to your point, it's like they could have just made everyone happy and wiped this away. Why do this? Why put this on a new coach? And it's coming from ownership, and it is one of the least fan-friendly moves this team has made, and they've made a lot of them.
Yeah, I think we're going to see how it plays out. I would assume there's going to be pressure from ownership to try to get Watson on the field. I mean, it's in the Browns' DNA, and it's Haslem, and the amount of money he's getting paid guaranteed. The idea that they're just going to say, no, we're going to develop Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel, and we're going to, and Deshaun's going to be a backup. I don't think so. Everything you're hearing here is that Watson is going to get a chance here to play and be the QB1. And if he the best outcome, Mark, for a Browns fan who wants to wash their hands of all of this, like A-Rod in 2016 or whatever, is they give him the job begrudgingly, and then he fails over 4 weeks, and then you can get Shedeur back in there and get another look at him. Because think about Sanders as well. He could be a little temperamental, and you have to keep an eye on where he's at headspace wise. Like, he just got out of a really weird rookie season that went in 7 different directions, but also featured some moments of promise on the field. Like, now you have to deal with Deshaun Watson re-entering the picture, and now you have to, hopefully, has the maturity and the right people around him to make sure he doesn't put his foot in his mouth during this process and wait his turn. Because I think, based on everything we've seen from Watson and the type of injuries he's sustained, he probably can't play, and that's going to work itself out. But hopefully we don't get the circus version of the QB room for the Browns in 26.
I will say, and this is sort of where I thought Monken went into more detail than like previous coaches, that Shedeur Sanders, no matter what you think of him, has been in Cleveland consistently without stop all offseason. that Deshaun Watson has not, and Dylan Gabriel, who I don't think will be on this team. I think he's a draft weekend trade candidate for someone that needs like a deep backup. Has not been there at all either. I know they're training elsewhere, but that Shedeur has been in Cleveland working out and hanging out with Monken and all this other business. I think the best story would be that Deshaun Watson never sees the field and is beaten out by Shedeur Sanders during the summer, and we never see Deshaun Watson again. I just think it's inglorious that anyone would have to watch him for even 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, that other scenario makes sense, and that's probably where they're going with this. But, I mean, don't start the season with this kind of shame and unwatchability attached to an already struggling team. Because, it's like, I'll say one last thing. Like, I've come in and out of this Browns fandom, and I know when they finally, after 2 years, it was like, come on back. It's like, no, they go and do this. Like, you go and do this, and it's like you had a chance to turn the page, and this is what you're motivated by publicly? I don't know.
I am also giving them too much credit. Like, I assume they're not going to take a quarterback in the early rounds of this upcoming draft. But assume nothing.
I would assume nothing.
All right, real quick, couple more items, and then we'll take a break, and we'll do our blind over-under game. Steelers owner and president Art Rooney II said he expects QB Aaron Rodgers to decide whether he wants to resign with Pittsburgh before the draft. So, that's about 3 weeks or whatever. Mike McCarthy, the new coach of the Steelers, also said he's in regular contact with Rodgers and, quote, hopes he will be his QB in 2026. I think we all see the writing on the wall here.
Why would you be in regular contact with Aaron Rodgers if this isn't?
Exactly. This is obviously heading towards Rodgers having one more run with Pittsburgh. Kyle Shanahan, the coach of the Niners, who is not concerned about the electrical substation. I repeat, not concerned about the electrical substation, thanks to scientists.
Or one scientist.
Or at least one scientist.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get something for Brandon Ayuk. That's a comment from Kyle Shanahan. Expect him to hit the free agency wire first. He wants less wear and tear on Christian McCaffrey. You might remember a couple weeks ago I told you the workload of McCaffrey was outrageous, and that is something obviously that could lead to durability issues. Yeah, that's fair. And at this point of his career, with older legs, his ability to be the best version of himself. You also had a pretty funny response about playing in Australia. Help me out with this, Justin. What is the Niners they got banged in a rather absurd way with their schedule this season. What's their setup?
So the NFL season will start on a Wednesday this year.
Why not?
Which is unusual. And then on the Thursday, which was typically reserved for obviously the opening game with the defending champs hosting a game. This year, that Thursday night will be reserved for a Rams versus 49ers game in Melbourne, Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, so there you go.
There you go. And shout out to all our Australian listeners. We just talked about one wearing a hero shirt. So I'm sure you guys are excited about it. But that's down under. That's at the end of the yellow brick road, and these teams that are trying to get set up for a season and get into a rhythm. I understand where Kyle Shanahan's coming from. Here's his quote: "I don't see any pro. It's cool for the league to play globally. I think that's awesome. But as far as the team doing it, no, there's not much benefit to it. Sometimes it's nice to get a bye week after, but it doesn't happen in week one. So yeah, that's a tough sitch, and he's just got to deal with it.
They are going there a week early. So where other teams would be home or close to home preparing, like they're going to Australia a week early. And I don't know. I think to come out of this, like I've been to Australia and like you do not return to America feeling great. Like I think it really screws them to not, you don't want a week 2 bye, but then like to come back and have to prepare for the next opponent. It's a division. It's a massive division game, and that is good for Australians. But I get why coaches are like, this is the infrastructure and the planning we have to start the season with.
The San Francisco 49ers are set to travel over 38,000 miles in the upcoming season, which would set the record for the most ever regular season mileage by a team in NFL history. I
mean, a trip to Australia probably cements that, but the Rams are too.
Right. But the West Coast teams in general, the Bay Area teams and California teams are traveling a lot. You add something like this into it, and yeah, it's a big challenge. Let's see how they handle it. But everything's cool at the substation.
That's all we cared about.
He said one thing.
Is it cool?
John Lynch said one thing that we didn't really talk about on the last show. He was like, "Yeah, our scientists told us it's actually 500 times, less likely or something like that to be bad for us." And I'm like, I almost feel like the scientists went too far the other way just to get the paycheck and alleviate fears. Like, how would it be 500 times less likely to be an issue? What does that mean?
What if the normality is 20,000 less times?
Does that? Yeah, well, it just starts to make your brain hurt after a while. Like, oh, it's 500 times less likely to be an issue. It's like, where did you get this data point?
Well,
do we trust the scientists? Where did you hire the scientists from?
Trust all scientists.
Oh, yes, Justin.
I still have the quote from yesterday if you want to hear it again.
I would love to hear it.
Indeed.
Update, and Corey can give you more background, but we did hire an independent scientist. He it basically was a big nothing burger. We're safe. Like we're in a safe place of work. The levels are, I think I read in there, 400 times less than unsafe zones, and so it's a normal place of work. It's a normal gym. We are safe. We're healthy. And we feel really good about that.
400 times less than unsafe zones? I mean, I feel like this scientist is just making shit up off the top of the dome.
And John Lynch is stuck with like Kyle Shanahan on like a 4 p.m. conference call on the West Coast to try to unpack this and just like gun to head.
I don't believe it, man. I don't believe it. Anyway, all right, let's take a break, and then I get my revenge in the blind over-under competition.
We'll see.
Hey, Heed the Call audience. My name is Jason Zumwalt. I am the co-host of Rolling Thunder, and we are thrilled to be here with you, for you, and the audience of Heed the Call, especially the beautiful people over at the Patreon. What do you have to say, Mark?
Well, this episode that we've just done, we're wrapping it up now. I thought we went down a wonderful avenue talking a little Stanley Kubrick, film in general, talking about showing films and new films to our kids. We went a little political. We talked about some stuff that's occurring internationally, straits of water, bodies of land, right, Jason?
Bodies of dead people everywhere. We just got really dark. We talked about the Epstein files. Listen, things happen this episode, guys. Tune in, join the Patreon. Let us entertain you.
That's what we're here to do.
All right, we are back. Oh, man. I've been waiting for this all year, Mark. I'm a very competitive person. Saw an interview with Michael Jordan recently. I've often thought me and Michael Jordan are tied at the hip. And he said he's so competitive, he sees it almost as his curse. Right down to the fact that he'll, without his wife realizing it, race to get dressed before her in the morning because he can't turn it off. And so to lose the competition that we're about to enter into last season, after going up 3-0 and then losing 4 straight. I mean, I think we might have a clip, and let's just call it like it is. Highly magnanimous of the old Zeuser to even clear this flashback, but that's what I do for.
Well, you're half in charge, so I could share it, but
okay, go ahead.
And the winner is, drum roll to be added in post, Mark nailed it again. 10.5 was the number.
No!
Did I just come back from 3-0?
You sure did.
Yes.
Asshole.
Well,
anyway,
you're Michael Jordan's
win.
Baseball career is what you are.
Got me.
It became personal.
All right. So with that said, Justin, can you refresh our memory and the audience on what this competition is?
Yes. So this is a competition to see if you guys have a great little pulse on each of these teams' expectations according to the Desert heading into 2026. Pre-draft, these numbers could change, but I will throw out up to 7 teams and you guys will guess the win total that Vegas has set for those teams, and technically in this case, DraftKings Sportsbook has set for those teams for the 2026 season. We will alternate who guesses first, and whoever guesses second cannot copy the answer of the person who guesses first. Closest to the number wins. All the numbers are halved, so going over, going under, no Price is Right rules, none of that funky stuff. It's just whoever's closest gets the point. If you are both closest, it's a tie, and we'll add another one. Best of 7. That's the rules. That's the game. Shall we get to
and remind me, what was the team that we talked about? Was it the Baltimore Ravens?
The Baltimore
Ravens are the one we cannot use.
They were in the news for having the highest win total of the 2025 season.
Okay. All right. I don't remember what that is, so I'm completely blind. Is Mark completely flying blind here?
Well, we can tell you what the Ravens were 11.5, and that was the highest. So we both had the exact amount of information.
Thank you. And that was actually a test. I was testing you there to see if you were going to share with me the numbers so you knew what was the highest over-under.
Right
off the bat,
I am pure.
I'm a bit, I would not call you pure, but I would say that I feel a little more comfortable with the integrity of the competition after you pass that test by the old Zeuser. The tugboat test.
This is we're just operating through your point of view on an item like this. Let's get into it. Let's go.
Right, let's go.
Alrighty then. First question.
Can I ask one question before we begin?
Sure.
Because I don't want to do anything that would be unjust. Am I allowed, just for my mind's eye, allowed to look at the 2025 standings?
Absolutely. I did this last year, and I planned on doing it again. I will tell you how many games each team won the previous year.
Okay.
I tell you.
Okay, good.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Go ahead.
This team won the Super Bowl. 14 wins last season, 3 losses. What is their 2026 win total? And for winning last year's competition, we'll give the first honor of guessing to Mark.
Wait. I thought it was you name a team and then we each guess the number.
Right.
You didn't say who it was.
The Super Bowl champion, Seahawks.
Oh, but you never said Seahawks.
Did I not? I said the Super Bowl
We've now covered that it is the Seahawks who
the
prevailed
Seahawks.
in the Super
Okay,
Bowl.
here we go. The Seahawks.
Okay. I'm going. I can just go straight 11, right?
You can, but every total is on the half. So if you go 11 and Dan
10.5. 10.5.
Well, that puts me in a tough spot, right?
Yeah.
So I will. You said 10.5. It's definitely not lower than 10.5. And we know that it's not higher than 11.5. So why wouldn't I say 11?
You could say 11. And the winner of question 1 is Mark. It was 10.5 on the dot.
Yeah, I mean that. I don't know about that. That was a weird one to start with, but okay.
I feel like Dan got a little boxed in there.
I did. That was a weird way to start the competition. I didn't even really have a chance to answer.
Well,
you'll
it
get to go
alternates,
first
so
on this
you'll get
next
to go
one.
first on the next one.
Okay.
This happened last year, too.
All right.
Starting to have regrets about giving Justin the keys to this Cadillac, but okay, here we go.
Question 2. This team won their division on a technicality, maybe? At 8-9. The Carolina Panthers' 2026 win total is, Dan?
Eight 8-9 last year. Bad division. Everything is a half. The winner, the right answer is always the half.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm going to say 8.5. I think that's just the nature of the beast in this division.
Yeah, I tend to think you nailed it. the Saints could be better. I think the Falcons could be better. The Bucks could be better. I'll just go 7.5. I'm not going to go 9.5. 7.5.
And the correct answer is 7.5.
Wow.
It's a tough one.
Mark takes a 2-0
Mark,
lead.
is that how you react to getting one right, Mark? Just total silence? What kind of showman are you?
Well, like, does Michael Jordan dance down the court when he's up in the first quarter? It's like, let's keep.
All right, so that was the first real one you got right. Kind of got screwed on the first one, but I'm down 2-0. Here we go.
And a reminder, Dan, you were up 3-0 last year and blew.
No, we already covered that. Here we go.
It's not over yet.
Mark, just electric broadcasting there. Good job.
Contemplative.
Let's go with my team. 3-14 last year. Bad team. Hired a new head coach. People are excited. Spent more money in free agency than any other team. What is the 2026 win total for the Tennessee Titans?
I think because the quarterback remains a mystery, I'm going to go 4.5.
All right, I think I'm going to get this one. I think. Because I thought you were going to go 5.5, and then I was going to be nervous about feeling 6.5 would be too high.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to go, you said 4.5, I'll say 5.5.
And the correct answer is 6.5.
There you go.
How about those Titans?
There we go. Let's go. Now the competition has begun.
Yes. The game doesn't start till both teams score.
That is annoying.
How does it feel to be on the other end of this?
I'm
nipping at your heels, Sessy.
I'll get annoyed at that versus what could go wrong when you're up 2-0 in a game that's best of 7? What just happened? And up 2-1 now.
Maybe Connor's right. Maybe you like, being the losing guy more.
No, I will think about it.
He gets it.
More.
He hits the number exactly. Total silence.
Yeah.
Misses
Assassin-like.
one. All of a sudden he's Chris Russo.
I was never taught to waltz around early in a contest acting like I'm the greatest thing on the playground.
Puritanical Connecticut product. I get it.
Incorrect.
Question 4. This team was the deciding team in last year's competition. A perennial underachiever. Can I say that without pissing off their fan base? 6-11 last year. What is the 2026 win total for the Cincinnati Bengals?
Good one. Really good one. Tough one. And I'm going to try to learn from earlier when I got a little too aggressive with the Panthers. They're always going to get the Burrow bump. But I also think at this point, expectations in Cincinnati have been flattened enough where they're just not going to be viewed as a big boy in the NFC. And so they're not AFC. So they're not going to sniff 10. I'm going to go 8.5 for the Bengals.
That's exactly where I wanted to go. It helps to have a questionable Pittsburgh team to some degree and a bad Browns team in there. You went 8.5?
I did.
7.5 feels like way too messed up. So I've got to go 9.5, and I don't love it, but I'm going 9.5.
Let's go!
The correct answer is 9.5.
How is that possible? How are they still getting 9.5?
That is a great question.
It's got to be. I don't know who they play this
Burrow.
year in other.
Burrow.
But it's like, who do they? I don't know what other division they play, but they're in a pretty bad division outside of the Ravens and a little bump.
I got to call timeout. Can I call timeout? I got to call timeout. I got to regroup here. Give me the music while I regroup. It will help me. I can't do this. I can't lose. Not to this guy. Not 2 years in a row.
But me being compared to him, I took offense to that.
Okay. All right. This is tough because now Mark has the onus because he has the hammer.
Right. However, Mark has gotten 2 right Mark got 1 right, you got 1 right because the first person left you with no other choice, and then that ended up
And the
helping.
first one was totally fugazi because you boxed me in.
I can see the narratives being spun, and I don't care.
All right, this next team. The Heed the Call crew was pretty high on them last year, with one exception. And that one exception is pretty high on them this year. 4-13 in 2025. Hired John Harbaugh. What is the 2026 win total for the New York Football Giants?
This is good. This is good. Mark has no ability to understand the Giants and their path, or how the desert sees them. So I feel like this is already in my back pocket.
Cease 7.5.
They made it personal.
Pretty good. Pretty good. And I am troubled that you've been dead on multiple times already. I can't go 8.5, obviously.
Little rich.
A little rich. 7.5 is pretty good. I think you got it. Congratulations. Just because I need to finish the mechanics of the competition, I'll go 6.5. But you played the game well, so.
I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing psychologically, and I'm not.
You got it.
I cannot be. I'm a
You
fortress.
deserve it. You deserve it, and you get what you deserve.
You should be whatever you cannot be, Mark, because you are correct. 7.5 is the number.
Yeah, congratulations.
Dan is not enjoying this right now.
Do we call a mulligan on question 1 just so we can keep playing?
No, we're not. No,
okay.
no.
That would be ridiculous.
You made that decision, and you set us down this path, and now you're gonna have to live with it. And you got Carl Charisma celebrating his win right now.
You can do whatever you want, but it's like I'm basking in this.
I just feel like we don't truly know. But I will give you this. You hit multiples well. Yeah. And as long as you didn't look at the document before, there's nothing I could say, but you played a great game.
You struggle. You struggle in a situation like this. You cannot accept possibly that you simply came in second place 2 years in a row.
I'm not thrilled. As a Michael Jordan type that I am, it's a tough pill to swallow. And
Michael Jordan doesn't go 0 for 2 in a playoff series.
He did. He actually did many times until he got over the hump, which now I have to wait another year.
Not in baseball.
And you are as likable as a Bill Laimbeer, so I guess it does track. So Laimbeer gets the best of Jordan, and now we have to wait until the 1990-91 NBA playoffs. So congratulations.
Then I'm Magic Johnson at that point? Is that who I am?
And I will defeat you next year. And like those pitiful Detroit Pistons, whom you represent, after they were finally vanquished in 4 in the Eastern Conference semis, they walked off the court without shaking hands. I put my hand out even before the competition ended because I'm a class act. Will you be able to say the same thing?
Yes, I'm a class act. I waited until I vanquished you to celebrate.
How about one bonus question that is not part of the competition that has a different format just because it's a fun game? One bonus.
What do I get out of this at this point? I need to head to the locker room.
Yeah, it's like a post-game interview.
I need to go and like Jordan because the Jordan rules put Jordan on the floor. Every time he attacks the hole, put him on the ground, hurt him. That's what you did with the first question here. I understand it. So now I'm going into the off season, no vacation, straight into the gym, and you're going to see me bulked up and kicking ass, unholy ass next year. So I say no thank you to your little bonus round because I have to head and meet up with the chief trainer of the Chicago Bulls. I've taken this analogy as far as I possibly can.
They physically...
But you're also Don Draper, so it's confusing for the listener.
All right, well, that's it. So, again, celebrate your win, your little victory, Mark.
It's not a little victory. It's 2 in a row. It's not little.
That's what she said.
It became personal with me.
And we'll be back. Good show coming up on Thursday. We have two great guests, Matt Harmon from Yahoo Sports and Connor Rogers from NBC, as we continue our draft preview series, this time breaking down the AFC East and the AFC South as we get ready, our draft cram sesh. So make sure you're there for that. Also, the Friday Fun Show coming up. And in a couple days, you could get your hands on the next edition of It Came From the Subreddit. So a lot popping on Patreon, a lot popping here. Thank you to everybody. The fix is in. Heed the call. No, it's not. Disgusting.